Okay, we're ready for language. Today being Monday, April 20th, you will need page 155 out of your language book. We are still talking about adjectives, but just talking about a little bit more in comparison. But before we do that, let's review for just a second. Let's reach back to Friday and let's talk about how we change the spelling of some of our adjectives when we're using them in comparison. So let's look at the first word I have is yummy. Now, I have the Y kind of underlined because we need to remember we need to change the Y to I, right? So let's have yum. The Y changes to I and add ER, yummier. Now, yummiest, same idea, YUMMIEST. The Y changes to I. Okay, let's look at small. Anything special about small that we talked about? There's not a vowel next to, one consonant, just a regular word. So we're just going to come over. We're going to write our root word of small. Just simply add ER. And then simply write our word small, root word, and add EST. Now let's look at flat. Flat was one of those words where you have a short vowel next to one consonant. Our rule is when we're adding a suffix that begins with a vowel, we have to double the consonants to keep the vowel short. Because if you don't, then that E kind of acts as a silent E. It makes the A say the long sound. So for flatter, we have FLA, two T's, TTER, flatter, and then flat. Now we're going to add EST. What do we need to do first? Right, write another T, EST, flattest. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're writing your adjectives. All right, let's look at our new concept for today. Look at the box at the top of page 155. Use the word more before a long adjective when comparing two nouns. All right, so let me erase this quickly. We're going to use, in this first piece of information, we have two nouns. Comparing two nouns. What word are we using? More. Correct. Let's look. More beautiful, more important. Beautiful and important are already longer adjectives. They're not like big or small. These are already longer words, and you don't want to extend those words by adding suffixes to the end. So they have more beautiful and more important. Okay? Use the word most before a long adjective when comparing three or more nouns. So if we have three or more nouns, we want to use the word most. Okay? The example they give you there, most beautiful or most important. Okay? So for two nouns, more. Three or more nouns with a long adjective, most. Okay, look at the little stars there. Do not add the word more or most and ER or EST to the same adjectives. It's bigger, it's not more bigger. Or biggest, not most biggest. If you say most biggest or more bigger, you're saying the same thing twice. Biggest means out of the group, that is the biggest apple. But if you say most biggest, then that's just saying you're repetitive in what you're saying. If that's the biggest apple, it's the biggest. There's not the most of it, okay? Some adjectives change completely when used to compare. Look at the next section. You have bad, worse, worst. Those are the three forms there. You did a good job today. You did a better job today than you did yesterday. This is the best job you have ever done. So you wouldn't say good, gooder, and goodest. The form of the word actually change. So in that section there you see bad, worse, worst, good, better, best. So let's look at Think A. Underline the correct adjective in the parentheses for each comparison. Number one, at our piano recital, Emma was more nervous or nervouser than Ethan. Okay, so you're comparing two nouns and you have a longer adjective. So what would be the better choice there? More nervous. That's correct. So you would underline more nervous. Because what? Well, because nervous-er, nervous is already a longer adjective. You don't want to say nervouser. I'm nervouser than you are. I am more nervous than you are. Okay? Number two, Dad said that last night's sunset was the most beautiful or the beautifulest one he has ever seen. Now we have to be careful here because this is one of these examples of where we may think we're speaking grammatically correct sometimes, but we may not be. We have to apply our rule. So Dad said last night's sunset. What is our adjective? It's beautiful. And if you look back up at the top box, beautiful is one of those longer adjectives. So, beautiful, the most he had ever seen. Most beautiful, because you're comparing all the sunsets he's ever seen. That's three or more. Most beautiful. Number three, wow, this box is the most heavy or heaviest one we have moved so far. This box is the heaviest. That's correct. Number four, Charles is more thoughtful or thoughtfuler than his brother. What is our adjective there? Our adjective is thoughtful. Is that a longer adjective? Yes, it is. So, do we want to add ER to the end? No. We want to put more thoughtful in front of that. So this is going to take some practice, guys, but just remember, when you have a longer adjective, we want to use more or most. Not beautifuler, thoughtfuler. Those are harder words to say. So we're using more or most so we don't have to make that word even longer. Let's look at Think B. Circle the correct adjective in the box. If you compare, number one, your dog to three other dogs, is he smart, smarter, or the smartest? Smartest. That's right, three or more. If you compare, number two, your cold to your brother's cold, worse. That is correct. Not badder. Not worser. No. Because we just saw in our box at the top, it's bad, worse, worst. Bad actually changes form there. Number three, if you compare your handwriting this year to your handwriting last year? Is it gooder, best, or better? Okay, number one, gooder is not a word, so let's skip over that. You're not comparing your handwriting to all of your handwriting over the past however many years of school. It is better. That's right. You're comparing to. And if you look back at the top, good is one of those words that changes form. Good, better, best. Number 4, if you compare a rose to a dandelion. Prettier. That's correct. Pretty is a short adjective, so we can change the form, the Y to I, and add ER. Number 5, you have an orange, a lemon, a lime. Most sweetest, sweeter, or sweetest. We don't want to say most sweetest because you're saying the same thing twice. Sweetest is correct because you're comparing 3 or more nouns, so we use EST. Okay, write C. Write a declarative sentence using the adjective smaller. Okay. If you have any questions about how to use your more or most, just remember if the adjective is shorter, you can change the form by adding suffixes to the end. If the adjective is longer, then you would need to put more or most in front, depending on how many nouns you are comparing. Okay? 2 nouns, more. 3 or more nouns, most. Out of the whole group, you're comparing. You're saying this is the top, this is the most. Okay? All right. So if you have any questions about that, you can let me know. Now look back at number 5, but you say, Miss Upchurch, wouldn't you say most sweetest? You can't put most and the EST at the end. So you would just say sweetest there. All right? So we'll keep doing some work with this, but make sure you do your write C. And then tomorrow we're going to start our section on adverbs. Okay?